I started learning how to play guitar in the 80s, so I grew up with, initially with pointy fluorescent guitars in the 80s, but as my musical tendencies evolved, I started getting much more into blues-oriented music, music from the 70s, music from the 60s, and I started gravitating much more towards Allman Brothers, Warren Haynes, Duane Allman, Dickie Betts, Michael Bloomfield. So I really was always drawn to guys who played Les Paul. The more I spent researching and studying them and appreciating the beauty for them, I found myself infatuated by this guitar. So I had an opportunity to find one that was one of the originals from the 50s. Enough to be dangerous, that's one. Two, as you veer into those waters of looking for an original guitar, you realize that there is lots of stories of forgeries, fakes, people that converted early 50s. On several occasions during that year and a half when I was looking for a guitar, I really felt like I was teetering into dangerous waters. And so again, that word dangerous came up again. Then when I finally decided on this 59, the previous owner played in a band that was somewhat, had some mild success in Europe, and the name of that band was Danger. So again, the name Danger had kind of come up 3 times, and so somewhat mixing those things and as an homage to the person who maintained this guitar for 40 years, I decided to call it the Danger Burst.
Stuff, but we could do just a little bit more of the jazzier stuff.
Sure, yeah, sure.
Well, which one's which now?
Good sign.
Oof.
That they sent me for approval. My approval was basically I wanted it to, in essence, you're not going to be able to match the top exactly. I mean, no 2 pieces of wood are the same, but you want them to look as if they are from the same family, and that if you lined them all up side by side, they would look like they belong. So the key elements of this guitar were the color on the top, and the color on the back, which is, again, identical to the original. The shape of the neck, because all 50s Les Pauls were all slightly different. They were all built by hand, and some could be thinner, some could be fatter, some could have more shoulders. And as when the prototype came, I picked it up, and it was completely identical. In fact, if I held them in both hands, I actually couldn't decide which one was which. They did a great job of picking pickups that were in the same range and feel as the original. So, all told, you know, unless you were looking at the tops exactly, I had a very tough time telling them apart.
Yeah, so this is the initial prototype inspired by that.
Well, at least there's something to it, you know. It's like it makes it all feel like it's like, all right, yeah. Oh my God, this is what we're talking about. Right.
was probably a year and a half looking, a lot of that being research. I had, again, I was originally interested in this 1960. I knew they had a 59, but for whatever reason, I was interested in the 60. I didn't want to just buy from anybody. I wanted to buy someone who I knew that I could trust, that sold good gear, that I knew exactly what I was going to get. They were going to stand behind their purchase. And so after spending probably several weeks developing a relationship with the people selling it, I decided, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to check this out. So I booked a flight, a red-eye flight on a Friday night to fly over to Frankfurt, Germany, with the return trip Sunday morning. So I knew I had one day to decide if I was going to like this. Basically spent the day with them, compared and contrasted the 1960 guitar, the 1959 guitar, and no joke, within seconds of plugging it in, it had the feel and the sound that was exactly in my head. Which to me was a little bit of a, when I plugged that in, it had a very fat sound. You could actually feel, you could almost feel that sound coming out of the guitar. Went back and forth a few times, asked the opinion of the guy that I brought over, and he kind of agreed that this one sounds one way, this one sounds the other, and decided then this is one of those times in life where I went through all this effort to fly to Germany. If I don't come home with this guitar, I'm going to regret it forever.
Switch back or not really?
Yeah. Again. You want,
Yeah.
Man, that's
I got you.
impressive.
What do you think? Will you drink?
It's amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's nothing like this.
Yeah, so this